I think choosing not to do organic content on social media in 2024 is lazy. Like, that's it. That's it, full stop.
Hello and welcome back to The Alchemists, a limited series podcast from State of Social 2024 that you'll quickly come to love as much as Meg Coffee loves dogs. My name is Andres Lopez Varela, and you can call me ALV. You can also call me the internet's #1 fan of cats, and that actually causes a lot of problems between Meg and I. We're working through it though. And today we are recording on the traditional lands of the Whadjuk Noongar people live at State of Social 2024. Based on some of the questions actually I've been hearing from the audience so far and, you know, with the whisperings in the corridor, I think this conversation is going to be very relevant for a lot of our audience. And we have assembled a crack team of alchemists to get their hottest takes on all things organic content. You're going to absolutely love this chat. Before we dive in, I just want to remind you the whole series of The Alchemists is now live wherever you get your podcasts. So make sure you hit that subscribe button to see all the episodes in your feed. And with that, it's time to make the magic happen. I'm happy to welcome our alchemists for this episode, including Scotty McDonald, Deputy Content Director at ABC Radio Brisbane. Hello, Scotty.
Hello.
Thank you for being here.
No, thank you for having me.
Georgia Tappy, Social Media and Marketing Consultant. Hello, Georgia.
Hi.
Welcome. And Edwin Smith, Instagram expert, founder/CEO of The Social Sandwich. How are you, Edwin?
I'm doing good. Thanks for the nice intros. Excited to be here live.
Live at State of
In front of a
Social.
studio
Live.
audience.
In front of a small studio audience,
They're
and a
quiet,
camera
but
crew and an
they're
audio
here.
crew.
They're good boys.
Yeah. What you don't know is it's an episode of Hot Ones, so you're going to have to eat hot spicy wings.
Oh,
I actually love
that.
hot wings.
so
So,
Me too.
good.
I love Hot Ones.
do we are they coming?
No, that was a bad joke. Sorry.
I'm out.
You're out. Well, but we do want your hot takes. That's why we're here today. And I want to start by asking you, Georgia, the nature, right? Like, obviously, social media has changed so much. You know, every major, minor change over the past few years. A lot of big changes thanks to the pandemic, of course, and how we ourselves changed the way that we consume content. But a lot of those changes are also thanks to the technology itself and the way that the social media companies and platforms want us to engage with their products so they make some dollars, you know? So I'm wondering, given where we are with the state of social media right now, what even is organic content in 2024? And I think also what definitely isn't organic content in 2024?
Such a good question. The way I normally frame it when I'm talking to brands is try and create content the same way an influencer would. So without any idea of money or campaigns or trying to, convert and all these marketing speak that we think of. Obviously, we're doing it very deliberately, but that sort of loose, realistic approach to content creation is how I define it. But I would love to hear, because I know you, Scotty, have slightly different opinions than I do about what is organic content.
No, I think we might be pretty close. In this morning's opening keynote, Michael Cochran said the two reasons that people go to social media. The first one was to be entertained, and the other one was, I'm pretty sure it was along the lines of to get out of their shitty life.
To escape their shitty life.
Which is just such a joyful thought. Anyway, I would say organic is when your goal is to actually hit one of those two things. That's the starting point of organic. If you're creative and you're clever and you also turn it into a CTA or you also turn it into a business thing, cool. But if the content itself feels like the original goal was to hit one of those two, that to me is organic.
That's interesting. I think that's a really good way to define it. Edwin, what do you think, mate?
I'm just glad that wasn't the first question that
Yeah.
I had, because that was
Yeah.
a curly one straight up.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
you did well,
Technology, the
Georgia,
state of the
really.
world, how human beings are responding. Yeah, very
that's
easy
it.
for me to
Yep.
answer.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
get you really
Yeah.
riled up right away.
No, very much on the same page. I think the entertainment factor is something that I think and talk about a lot when I think a lot of brands think of social media as a marketing tool to sell their product, which is ultimately what the goal is. But if you go in with the goal of trying to sell a product or sell a service, then it's not going to work. I think the first goal has to be to engage people through interesting, relevant, entertaining content. And then, like Scotty said, then you can think about, incorporating some CTAs at the end of an interesting, funny reel, or, working those messages throughout. But I think you've got to get the people there interested and engaged first, and then you can start thinking about the sell second.
Do we feel like there's anything that maybe used to be quote unquote organic content that maybe now we feel it doesn't fit into that very good definition that you guys just, came up with, I guess.
Is it controversial to say images? Because
Maybe not.
And it's probably,
maybe it is.
That's a very broad, answer. But I think you think back to kind of, pre-pandemic times when the organic reach was much higher. So you could post a photo of a product
Yes.
and be like, "Hey, here's this cool product we got. Go and buy it."
Yes.
And 50% of your audience would see that post on Instagram, let's say. Whereas now that number would be like 10%, let's say.
If that,
yeah.
yeah.
If that. And so, there's still a place for, a good,
God, remember
a
those
good image.
days?
But like it was a free hit, right? So like as a brand, you could be like, let's just go and sell stuff. And I think people still think that I can post to these social platforms with
Yes.
a product shot. People will see that and they'll go buy my product. But they go, that doesn't work.
Especially now Instagram gives us 20 images in a carousel, which arguably is 18 images too
Just
many,
reverting
right?
back to like the internet when it was 20 years ago, when it was like Tumblr and blogs. Like it's just all we're all just conglomerating to one thing. It's a bit depressing. I think the platforms are forgetting they are meant to be individual platforms. But anyway, I digress.
Can I ask a question off your answer to this
Yeah.
question?
That was probably too spicy take to
No, I
jump
love
into.
it. I love it. The spicier the better.
Don't post
right?
images ever.
So
there's just
TikTok-
soundbite for this one.
TikTok seemed to have signaled, like almost lukewarmly signaled, that they're interested in an image sharing app.
Come full circle.
Does image sharing have a future in the near future yet, or is TikTok just throwing mud against a wall to see what sticks?
I think the platforms are doing what people keep asking them to do. That's why they are there. That's how they make money, by responding to the needs of the consumers. So they're hearing from people who maybe weren't around for the Facebook Insta ages, like these Gen Zs, that, they want to see more images. So this is the sad thing, is we're getting old, guys. Like,
Yeah.
now
I mean, when you said these Gen Zs,
these Gen Zers, old man shaking his hand with
Fist to the
fist.
cloud, yeah.
But I think it's literally that they didn't realize that was a platform that we used to use 15
Yes.
years ago. So now it has become like TikTok's what they currently use. So
I guess it's like, the to give more old man cloud vibes, the kids these days take their parents' Sony cyber shots out on night out, take photos rather than just posting every single thing. Then they relive it the next day together, and then they select the ones, they curate
they're
the
a
ones
bit more
they...
careful with it than we were.
Yeah, they're a bit more careful. So maybe that's where it's coming from, right? It could be that. But I guess regardless of the format of the content and whether you think images are not organic content or not, and that's certainly, I hope, going to inform some debate and commentary. One of the biggest trends that continues to define the content that we do see online that works well, and Ed, when you talk about this a lot, is a sort of low production value, scrappy, sort of rough content, maybe not lo-fi, but sort of, should we say, lowish-fi, I guess, as a range. It seems that there's, especially in video, right? It seems there's definitely no going back to that polished content, that higher end production kind of values. So I'm interested to know who you think is leading this change now. Is it still the creators and their audiences, or have the platforms decided that this is totally dead, this way of creating content?
Can I disagree with you? I don't think lo-fi is the way of the future. I think it is a moment in time right now, because post-pandemic, we're all stuck in our homes. Brands didn't have access to fancy photo shoots and, glossy editing. So people started producing a lot more stuff. We started to get used to that in our feeds. But like everything, people will start to revolt against that and go, I don't want to see another blurry, crappy caption. I want to see something produced with value and thought and consideration. I think there's space for both of them in the future. But
what's your timeline on that?
God, I'm not a futurist. I have no idea.
But no, I think it's a really interesting point. But are we talking 5, 10, 20?
No, I'm in the next couple of years, I reckon.
Wow,
I don't
okay.
think...
The pendulum's going to swing
Yeah,
back.
absolutely. I mean, look, call me wrong and call me up in 3 years' time and I'll be wrong.
Yeah.
But
You heard it here first. We'll come back in 2026.
I feel like the core of it is the storytelling, right? And it's like, what tools do you have for your story? If you have access to the means of producing a beautiful, TV show, great, go for it. But if you only have an iPhone and a camera, go for that instead.
Because there's an interesting thing that I think about all the time. The early days of YouTube, like those really, really big creators that did what we called vlogging at that time, but even like Epic Mealtime, they started off really lo-fi and ended up producing clip and TV
Like hot
shows.
ones, that's what I'm
Bubbish,
saying.
it was it's a great example of sort
Yeah.
of swayed back and forth, actually. But I know, Edwin, you have a very firm view on this about how that sort of divide between higher production value, polished, and then more kind of rough and ready. So enlighten us.
I actually do kind of agree that I don't think it's as clear cut now as everything should be, really low-fi and scrappy and, look a bit shit. I think it's more, and this is something that I've been talking about for years, like even back, from working in TV. It was always the thinking that I always had was people want like content. They want to be engaged. I want something that's interesting, and I don't think it now matters how that's presented, if it's a really well edited, put together video, or if it's a selfie on an iPhone with like a crappy ring light that just it looks okay, but it's like if there's something there, if it's funny, if it's interesting, if it's educational, if they get something out of it, it doesn't matter how it's filmed or produced. It's like what matters is like the content behind it. So and there's going to be a place still for the shinier pieces of content, but then at the same time, it's like you could potentially deliver that same piece of content just in a in an easier way. It's obviously easier than ever to edit videos now, as anyone is a influencer. Or I don't even think influencers exist in my mind. Like I think creators exist.
Creators, yeah.
Influencers are now like, I think influencers take photos of things and say buy my product.
Yes.
Which, as we know, photos are dead.
Yes.
And so
We just established that.
we established that, and so I think that just that video piece is now so important. And creators are definitely like the way of the future. And I think just that scrappy type of content is here. But there's no reason why you can't have a really a well shot piece that just still has some value. But I think there's still definitely brands that think, let's make something look really cool, and then that's the value they think they're giving. When it's like just because something looks nice and shiny and like has slick edits and like graphics and stuff, like doesn't mean that it's going to perform.
You can't polish a turd, basically.
Yeah,
I think that's the problem with brands, is that they do have access to a lot more money than regular people, and so they will throw expensive videographers and editing and all that at it to make something crap that isn't that interesting. Whereas anyone can just film a vlog, and it could be a bit more interesting than anything a brand could produce.
So what I'm hearing really is that then these trends of the style of production, particularly in organic content, is really being driven by creators more than anything, more than brands, perhaps more than the audience themselves, and certainly more than the platforms. Does that sound about right? Or have I plucked that out of the air?
I think the other thing that we've kind of
plucked that out of the air.
You have.
Well, I think in a way, but I think it's also just like general people, like this idea of like crappy posts.
Yeah.
I feel like when I first started seeing that style was just like the younger generation posting like image galleries to Insta, and it was like a photo dump of their week.
Yes.
And there was just like the worst assortment of photos.
Yeah.
They didn't really think about it. It was like screenshots of things, like screenshots of Snapchat with like Snapchat text, and it was like, this just looks so crap.
Yeah.
But then that's what the cool young kids are doing, and it was like it was almost like the revolt away from the perfect curated feed that everyone was used to, of like on Instagram you put up the perfect version of yourself on social media. It's you at a wedding and that's it. Like looking your best. Whereas now it's like, oh, let's just put up.
I also think there is a driven by the audience factor.
Yep.
So I think a lot about when TikTok first came out, and there was the talk of like you have to get people in the first 3 seconds, and now it feels like it's more like the first 0.3 seconds. But that drives to a place where like a big corporate marketing team would often be like, well, we need to open with our logo, smooth transition out of the logo with a title card explaining what this video will be about. Man, the moment I see your logo, I've scrolled, I've moved on.
Yeah.
And so production value to that level, very much driven by the audience, where people were just like, not watching that, not watching that, not watching that.
The filter has become much stronger. People can pick out. And I think this is the point, is that we're evolving. The more brands try and force us to be like, watch my ad, the more we become aware of it, and we go, I'm not going to, you can't make me, unless you produce something that is worth watching. So,
It's almost like, I think now the best ads almost like trick you into watching. You don't even realize. And you get to the end, you're like, wait, crap.
Oh, was an ad.
I've been tricked.
But then there's that feeling as well where you're like, oh, you've just tricked me into watching an ad. So it's almost, no offense, marketers can't win. And it's like, that's what makes our job interesting, right? Is this constant push-pull of like, how can we keep creating beautiful work that sells the story that we're trying to sell whilst not offending or upsetting the audience that we've built over many years, hopefully. So.
Yeah. I think it's very wise. And so we've talked about what organic content is.
I'm a very wise
now. Very wise.
I hope I get a compliment like that.
We'll see. Play your cards right. Okay, so we've talked a bit about what organic content is and what it isn't. We know it isn't images, as Edwin would have us believe.
I told you I was going to give you some hot takes. That one might be a bit too spicy.
No, this is good.
Yeah, at the social sandwich. Come at me, I'm ready.
And we know that... and we think that there's sort of maybe a pendulum swing moment, but also maybe a rebalancing, right, of those different styles of content. And I think what our marketer friends are going to naturally be asking is, I get what this content is, I get why the audience wants it, but why even bother at all with posting content that isn't paid to be seen in some way, given all the technological forces kind of arrayed against you? So, I mean, Scotty, what do you think? If we're wedged into a corner by having to pay to reach audiences, is organic content a feasible strategy at all? How should it be blended? Should people sort of be giving up on it, or should they be doubling down on it?
I want to make a really, I want to make a more spicy take than the image take.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's going to offend a lot of people.
Yes. Straight down the barrel then. Yeah.
My name is Edwin Smith. I think choosing not to do organic content on social media in 2024 is lazy. Like, that's it. That's it, full stop. Because if you're at a stage where we went through that process where the TikTokification of social media means that we're now seeing even Meta try and fight to make entertaining content go well, we're in one of those sweet spots where you actually can make good creative that without money behind it will get it to an audience, and arguably will get to the audience that is most likely to want to engage with it. And if your response to that is, oh, but we can just force the audience to watch it by paying for it. Like, let's not pretend that it's actually anywhere near as effective as content that you have specifically gone out and created to entertain people. But then the layer on top of that, and I'm stealing this theory from a very well-known business marketing speaker who I'm not going to name because they're polarizing. Okay. Their last name has 3 syllables, but usually they shorten it to 1 syllable. But if you create organic content that goes really well, then retail that content with a strong CTA and make that your paid creative. Because now as paid creative, it's going to go 10 times better than the ads you put together is going to go, because people want to see it and interact with it and engage with it.
Yeah. So really then the organic content is there to build the audience, show you have common interests, if you like, and then you could sort of kindly ask them to click on your thing.
Scotty, are you saying paid is dead?
No, I am not.
Use the microphone. Paid is dead.
What I'm saying is that when I think of interruption advertising, which is how linear TV and how linear radio work, and now how YouTube works, and now how social works, like literally, I know you came to see this thing, but before you're allowed to see this thing, I'm going to make you hear about my business.
You have to pay the toll.
Like, what a crazy concept that is. And then to go onto social media and be like, hey, I know you're here to get away from your stressful life, but because I've paid money, I'm allowed to make you hear about my brand. Yes. Like, what
it's
a
very
crazy
cocky.
idea.
It's very like, my brand or product is so good, it's going to interrupt your downtime, your precious downtime. You've only got half an hour where you're going to be on the toilet or whatever, just scrolling through TikTok, but no, now I'm going to make you listen to what I have to say. And it is it's almost like bullying. Like, I've got enough money and you're going to sit here and take it.
I'm so glad that you agreed with me on it, because I was really worried
I think it's
you
because
two
we're
were going to
organic
walk in.
marketers, so,
And I think further to that point, for me, the introduction of TikTok, the, reels exploding, for me, that's someone that loves organic content. That's like the most exciting change that's happened, because the beauty of those platforms and those tools is you can be seen by people that don't necessarily already follow and engage with you. So there's that discoverability element that we just haven't had. You've relied on Instagram through like hashtags or like the explore feed to grow before reels existed, and that was really challenging. Whereas now it's like, if you make a reel that is, ticks all those boxes around engaging content, it's interesting, it's relevant to people, then people, not just your audience, but people outside of that audience could potentially see that. So for me, I look at that as like such an opportunity for brands to look at and go, hey, we can do something cool. We can reach those people that we might have been able to pay for usually, but now we can do that, by just creating good content. Obviously, that's a really hard question. It's easy just to go, let's just throw some marketing budget behind it to make sure more people see it. But I think it's exciting for me, and I try and get people excited by organic content, because it's like, look at the opportunity. Like, look at all these people that
Yes.
could potentially see what you're doing.
It is a mind frame thing as well, where it's like, yeah, I could serve you a bunch of ads and maybe your audience will watch them, but will they actually be interested? Will they
Engaged,
enjoy it?
yeah.
Will they remember you fondly? Like, is your brand so not precious to you that you're happy to annoy your audience potentially?
Yes.
And I
Like
think
every
again,
gambling ad ever on any streaming service, any
like,
catch-up TV service.
I work with a lot of clients who funnel a lot of money into TikTok ads, but they don't actually have a TikTok organic strategy. And I tell them, people click on your TikTok ad, they go to your profile and you have nothing to show for it. And then they go, all right. And then they click out. And it's unfortunately how people use social media nowadays. They're not going to your webpage necessarily. So it kind of needs to be complementary to and fro, a conversation between the two, ideally.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to put it. And I do think, though, like, this kind of brings up a point which, I find personally infuriating. Well, I find this contradiction sort of infuriating, diabolical. The lifespan of organic content varies depending on the type of, text, image, maybe not images are determined, but they're done, video, whatever it might be, right? But it's getting shorter and shorter, right? The lifespan and the relevance, everything is perishable.
I disagree.
Okay, let me finish my question then. Yeah, because maybe
Is this thing on?
Jump across the table.
maybe I'll correct it. Maybe I'll fix it up. So we're creating more and more content, right? Because in general, the feeling is whether the content doesn't last long, like its lifespan is not long. We can talk about that, or the fact that I've got to work so hard to kind of, be heard above the noise. We're creating so much content. So are we making it worse, though, by posting all this organic content? Are we sort of, if we want organic content to play a role, to have a meaningful role in what we do, shouldn't we just cool our jets and like halve of the volume of content? Should we all like sign a Kyoto protocol of content posting and just be like 50% of what we're posting now?
Yeah.
Question to Edwin, maybe to start with.
Oh, I have so many thoughts on that.
Do you want to start with the bit you disagree with me on that?
So I actually think that organic content, especially in like if we talk about reels, actually has like a longer lifespan than probably ever in terms of a good piece of content can be seen for days, even weeks after when before this new, and this is like a bit of like an algorithm shift where, you look at your Instagram feed, like I guarantee you'll see a post from 3-4 days ago, sometimes like weeks ago. And that's, I think, a good thing because it means that, and that's the best content that does that. It's not every piece of content, but it's like, again, if you make a good piece of content, it will be seen and work for you for, a long period of time, which is, again, that's another good thing. So that's what I disagree with. I think the other parts are interesting and maybe.
I agree with you. I had a reel go viral last year in November. It's got over 1 million views at the moment. And still to this day, when I check it, it has more and more views just because people keep sharing it amongst their friends and family. And it's wonderful for me, obviously, but it shows that, if you create a good piece of organic content, it could potentially live forever. Whereas paid is set within, 90 days, 10 days, whatever it is that campaign that you're running for. And then it's kind of gone forever. You can repurpose it maybe, but that takes time and effort. Whereas organic, ideally can live for months maybe.
And I almost think as well with, this like agreement that we all signed that's like, okay, we're going to like post a little bit less to just make it a bit easier. I actually think that is basically what the algorithm does, right? It cuts out the crap, and that's why, while there is all this
out there, then.
Yeah, but it's the algorithm's job from, when I think about it is like to show us the best stuff. And so if you make something just for the sake of it to like publish content, like get things out there, it is actually harder now to get those, the organic reach on content because there is competition for it. So it means we have to be better at content, which I think is a good thing because if your content sucks, it's going to bomb, and then you're going to be like, shit, man.
And then people complain, why don't I get any reach anymore? I'm like, it's because the content sucks.
Yeah,
would you watch this? Yeah. Would you pay attention to this? No. Then why would your audience? So
do you remember those early days of Threads where people were just like attacking Adam Azeri, the head of Instagram, and being like, "You've taken away my reach."
Why are you entitled to reach?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness,
Why
right?
are you
Look at
entitled?
any Instagram post he still does. Like the comments are just like a fight amongst creators of like, just give us what people want and let us.
I've been
let our audience see
blacklisted, and you're like, you haven't been blacklisted. You just aren't posting good content. Sorry.
Yeah, I always go and look at their profiles. I'm like, your content is a whole bunch of like pretty photos.
I saw a creator a couple of weeks ago posted and said like, "Oh, my reach has been cut off, and the Instagram, you're the worst thing that's ever happened." And someone replied to them, or they were like, "What should I do? How do I reach my audience who followed me?" And someone replied and was like, I reckon you should either start like a blog or a Substack.
Yeah.
The
I
person
love Substack.
replied with, oh no, I'm not that important that people would follow me there. Wait, you have an expectation that Instagram should force your content on people, but you yourself admit that it's not good content?
Interesting. People need to go to the drawing board. And again, what is social media trying to solve? What's the problem you're trying to solve? If it's to reach a wide variety of people, then yeah, organic content can be amazing. But if it is, like, as you say, if you don't have anything interesting to say, I don't know. I don't actually know what the platform is for you then. If you have nothing of value to add to the world, why are you sharing your ideas in the first place?
And it's interesting.
Sorry, so brutal.
No, this
These are the hottest takes.
Yeah. I'm here for it.
Please
I still remember last year. So I have an old workmate that actually works at Instagram, and I'm not allowed to
Shout
talk
out to
about,
them.
Not allowed to talk about her because
Her email's going to get flooded.
she's like, if you ever give my email to anyone, like, I will never talk to you again. I'm like,
Fair
that
enough.
is
Valid.
fair enough.
So valid.
But she told me, she's like, look, I probably drunk the Kool-Aid a bit, but she's like, I think people forget that these platforms are like a free tool that you can use for marketing. Like Instagram for business, Facebook for business, right? Unless you're paying, like, it's a free tool you can use to promote your business.
Yeah.
So when there's like all this entitlement of like, well, like, my followers should be seeing my content, it's like they're running a business as well, where they're trying to make it an enjoyable place. And so again, it comes back to, if your content sucks, it's not going to be seen, and it is harder than ever to do that. But yeah, there certainly is, not with everyone, but some people, that like entitlement of, I've got all these followers, why aren't they seeing my posts? Without any kind of, it's like, I've been doing the same thing for 5 years, but.
I do see their point of view, though. I think the problem maybe also is that sometimes content can become very homogenous. Like, we all want the same thing.
Correct. We get fatigued.
Yeah, we get fatigued. Sometimes, maybe your content is so different and new that maybe the algorithm doesn't even know where to put it. I mean, again, we don't know how the algorithm works. Anyone who says they do is lying to you. We are making
Clip that one. Put that on.
educated guesses. But yeah, like, its job at the end of the day is to keep people on platform so that Instagram, Facebook, whoever can make money from the ads. So if your content isn't interesting or engaging, people aren't going to watch it. They're going to go out of the app, and then Instagram loses. So yeah, it's just a business decision at the end of the day. Sad, but true.
I feel like we've agreed on a lot of things.
I know, weird. I thought we were going to beef a bit more.
I think certainly the intensity of the views shared is way hotter than I thought.
Yay.
So I think you're all at that level of intensity, and I think you've all brought yourselves up to that.
Like,
So
I will flip this table if you make another comment about.
He's playing devil's advocate.
I like it. You said that you were here to do that.
I have always thought that maybe actually I'm just an idiot with my thoughts about social media, but now I know there's at least 3 idiots using social media. So.
I think that's the point of the convention, right? Is to meet other idiots and go, is it your experience too? Because I thought it was just me.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Shout out, Meg. Thank you for
that's literally, you're right. That's Meg's mission statement. So it's good.
get the idiots together.
together.
All right. Before we wrap things up, I want to change things up. I have the feeling that this group's going to be perfectly okay with this next part of the conversation. I'm going to ask you to play fast and loose with your opinions.
Oh no!
And I have some questions that I meant to make you uneasy. But just remember, you are the Alchemists, so you're imbued with a special ability that means that you're protected basically for whatever you say. So I'm going to hit each one of you with a random question.
Why am I sweating?
I know. My palms are sweating. Jeez.
I got really clammy.
ALV.
I'm going to hit you with a random question, and then you're going to give me the answer that pops into your head. And the rest of us can, agree, disagree, laugh at you, support you, whatever it is, yeah? I'm going to start with you, Georgia.
Oh, cool. Thanks. Perfect. I appreciate that so much.
I disagree. That's so wrong.
Yeah.
How could you think that?
Cool.
So, as an alchemist, your teachings are a generous gift to the world, except when you get something wrong. In your career, what's the biggest thing you've been wrong about?
I think for me, I often assume clients understand what I'm talking about the same way I do, that like they are also obsessively online, that they also follow the best creators and that they are constantly inspired by the best thing. And I realize that most business owners are pretty busy running a business and they're not spending 20 hours a day on TikTok. And yeah, I guess trying to translate the layers of internet subculture to people who have maybe better, more important things to do.
Yeah.
I've definitely failed at that before, and yeah, it's something I'm constantly trying to improve upon because it is the only reason we have a job is to try and get people to understand that. That was a tough question.
That's good. You nailed it. You nailed it.
I struggle with that all the time as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, there's a lot of nodding here.
Just make like, a quick 10-second reel with like, a hook at the start, and then you go, oh wait, there's like hours to unpack in that
Yeah,
one
yeah.
sentence.
What?
And-
what?
Yeah, it's like how
it's
to
a-
edit videos
yeah,
and like
yeah.
how to make it engaging.
If it's
and, like,
11
how to-
seconds, is that too long?
Where's the key messaging? You haven't thought about the key messaging.
Yeah, that's
no,
what
I
I'm
haven't.
I think people would like me to introduce myself at the start of
Yes,
this video.
yeah.
They
Oh,
wouldn't.
yeah. Hey, it's Edwin here
Have
from
you
the
said
social
the brand
sandwich.
name 7 times? We can try that.
We should
Probably
have our
won't work.
logo like covering the whole bottom half of the screen.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
great.
And
That's good,
direct
that's
people to the QR code down below. Like, yeah, that'll work. Totally. We'll try it. We'll give it a crack. I always say yes, and then I'll
Yes.
come back with information, being like,
Yes,
look,
but-
I tried your post and it sunk.
it bombed, yeah.
Can we try mine for 12 weeks? And then if it works, which it usually does, then
Perfect, yeah.
cool, sorry.
That's good. I appreciate that you sharing that. Scotty,
Oh, no.
as an alchemist, you understand the important relationship, the delicate balance between humanity and the natural world. So who who runs the natural world? Is it cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Dogs.
That's a
Of
much easier
course it
question.
is.
Yeah. Okay.
It's this
may have noticed.
idea,
You
this
may have noticed
idea
that
that
I'm a
like,
cat person.
if you want a really spicy take, forget everything I've said so far. This idea that cats enjoy being captive is hilarious.
It is true.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, like I think my cat's pretty happy. Being
What
captive.
evidence do you have to that point?
A lot of purring, some like little kind of chin scratches and everything.
I think
You
I'm
mean
brainwashed.
it
you left
rips
the door
your
open
shit
for it.
apart? Like it's not meant to. It hurts. It's not love.
Yeah, I mean the spiciness of these takes continues.
Sorry,
So that was good though. I liked it. Edwin, as an alchemist, you make a magical compound in your apothecary. Congratulations. That can wipe out one of the social mediums just like that. Which one do you use it on and why?
Come on, there's only one answer.
I have a love-hate relationship with a lot of the platforms.
I think that's our job, to be honest.
You've got one dose of this magical compound, so you can only choose one.
Twitter.
Yeah.
But I also think Twitter's kind of killed itself. So then I'm like, am I using my
Am I
powers?
wasting it? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So then I'm like, maybe just take out Facebook and like,
Yeah.
then we don't have to worry about like Facebook ever again.
Great.
Oh, that would be so lovely.
I'd forget a lot of birthdays, but that
Yeah,
would
yeah.
be the only thing that
Yeah.
I'd probably miss.
Imagine
the
never
most.
having to deal with Meta business.
Yeah,
ever
I was going
again.
to say specifically business
that'd be
suite.
so
Oh, yeah,
Holy
yeah.
moly.
Never
I was-
ever
I
again.
was
Pretty dirty.
considering-
That's pretty. That's a deep cut.
Yeah.
My third option was going to be LinkedIn, just to kind of fire up the LinkedIn debate about.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll chat afterwards. I'll fix your LinkedIn.
But yeah,
for
let's
you.
go. Final answer. Facebook.
Great, thank you. And that's a great answer. I think Yeah, I mean, I killed a cat a few years ago in my life, and it's never been better.
You're not on Facebook.
Yeah, no.
Not on the book.
No, not on the book.
How do you remember the birthdays?
I don't.
How do you like keep up to date with the local happenings in the
That's the
local
best part. The Facebook
I don't.
groups.
I don't.
The gossip.
So hold on, slow down. If you see a car drive up your street, do a U-turn and then drive back down the street.
Yeah,
What
Where
do
do you post that now?
I just talk to the cats about it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
full circle.
You're like mentally well then. That must be
Yeah,
nice.
maybe not well,
Wow.
not well,
Better
but
than
but
us.
better than I was in 2019 when I was on. Thank God I got off before the pandemic. Anyway,
yeah.
I am really happy we could do this. What a wonderful chat, a fantastic breakdown of these trends and sort of what's important, and also I guess the reassurance that organic content is very important, but also its role has matured and changed a lot. So I'm very grateful for your time. I appreciate you sharing your hottest, spiciest takes. Thank you again, and have a very excellent State of Social.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
There is plenty more to wrap your ears around on The Alchemists, including heaps of in-depth chats with this year's State of Social speakers. So make sure you follow the show wherever you get your podcasts. And if you like what you heard, give us a 5-star review and tell a mate, or 2, or 3. Tell your mum. The Alchemists is a co-production of State of Social and Creative Fix. The show is produced by me, Andres Lopez Varela, and Aaron Matthews from Creative Fix, with additional production support by Cal McLean. Meg Coffey is our executive producer. On behalf of all the Alchemists, I'm AOV. I'll catch you next time.